And I want to say one quick thing about Nancy Pelosi. It should be pointed out. One of the reasons why that story's buried in the New York Times is because with all the sound chamber of America going after Nancy Pelosi, not one Democrat in the House or the Senate has suggested that maybe she should step down. This is all coming from a bunch of losers. This is coming from Dick Cheney and Rudy Giuliani and Karl Rove.
Hold on a second.
It's all ginned up by the conservatives.
Ed,
There's no Democrats that have stepped out and
the
said, hey.
Speaker of the House accused the CIA of lying on her second, third, or potentially fourth version of events.
Wrong.
And that's not on the front page?
Prove she's wrong.
Are you kidding me?
Prove she's wrong.
You know what?
She's not wrong.
We're talking about whether or not the paper should have put it on the front page. Are you kidding me? That was front page news. It was all over the. It was everywhere. So therefore, you know what? We'll blow it off.
You think the reason the Democrats aren't saying anything about it is because they agree with what she said, or because she's the speaker and they don't want to cross her?
Mark, you know that it takes political will to move people. No one on the Democratic side wants to move Nancy Pelosi. They respect her. She's a strong leader. She's a strong-willed woman, which I think conservatives have a hard time with.
Why are you looking at me? I care about somebody being quality. I don't care if she's a man or a woman or whatever.
Look, this is all ginned up about going after Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi is solid as the Speaker of the House. Name one Democrat that said that she ought to sit down.
A couple of Democrats that I've spoken to are pretty embarrassed. I don't know if they want her
embarrassed is one thing. Removing her as Speaker is something else.
But she deflects from the president. It may be constructive to keep her right where she is. Joe, I'm sorry. I cut you off.
Well, you know, the thing is, and of course we went through this with Newt Gingrich, where the Speaker would say things that other members would cringe with, be embarrassed about, and it takes a while for people to rise up and speak out. But that doesn't mean they aren't grumbling behind the scenes. That doesn't mean they aren't telling me that they wish that she would find a story and stick to it. I'm hearing a lot of angst from Democrats, not only on Capitol Hill, but also across America, people that do not agree with me politically on a lot of issues, but certainly do on this issue.
Joe, can you give me some names? Can you give me some names of some Democrats who want Nancy Pelosi out as Speaker? You know, we speak in generic terms. Well, I've talked to a lot of Democrats. I have not spoken to one Democrat that wants her removed as Speaker of the House. Not one.
Ed, I didn't say, and if you want to go back to your office and replay this after the show, I didn't say they were telling me that they wanted her out as Speaker. I said they were concerned by the fact that she's given 4, maybe 5 different accounts of her story, and I think it is fair media criticism to suggest that if any Speaker of the House of Representatives calls the Central Intelligence Agency a pack of liars, and then you have the director of the CIA later that afternoon attacking her, saying that she's not telling the truth, especially since he was a friend from days in Congress, and then the Speaker backs down again later that night, and then Director Panetta the next day accuses her of a degree of partisanship that he hasn't seen in Washington, D.C. in decades. I think that's very legitimate.
I think it's legitimate to point out, Joe, what CIA is Leon Panetta talking about? The one that he's running right now, or the one that George Tenet ran back in 2002 and 2003? There's no question that the CIA and the intelligence community was marching to the orders of Dick Cheney. This CIA is not marching to the orders of Barack Obama. They're marching to the orders, and they're following the truth. Now, there's a big difference. Hold
on. I got to stop you there for a second, because you asked a question. Is he talking about Panetta CIA or Tenet CIA? Specifically, he was talking about George Tenet CIA on September 4th, 2002, when Nancy Pelosi was briefed. He said they didn't lie to her. We're not in the business of lying to her. And he's not the only CIA director who has said that Nancy Pelosi's not telling the truth.
The CIA has a hard time telling the truth, too, Joe, and figuring out when these briefings took place. They got to do some better note-taking as well, which all leads to the fact that, you know, maybe we better have a Truth Commission. Maybe we better have a special investigator on all of this. And I do believe that Nancy Pelosi stepped out and said that all of the briefing notes should be made known to the American people, and there should be what she called full disclosure. So I'm sure that we'll probably get to the bottom of all of this. But just to point out.
Do you agree with the other Democrats that come on this show, and we've had a lot coming on this show the past week, do you agree with the other Democrats that the CIA, through the years, has a habit of lying, that the CIA is run by liars and has agents who are liars. Do you agree with that contention from the Democratic Party?
I think that every federal agency at one time or another has been less than truthful with the American people. But do I have evidence today that they were absolutely lying? No, I don't. But I do have a Speaker of the House who said that she was misled and the country was misled. And I think that's enough material for us to have a truth commission and get full disclosure. And she's on board with that.
Well, then
and no Democrats want her replaced.
Should be on the front page, Ed, given what you're saying. I got to tell you.
When was it not on the front? When was Nancy Pelosi not on the front page?
The day that she accused him of lying, it was not on the front page.
Let me just say, Ed, I could not be more in agreement with you that we need a truth commission. Earlier, just a couple minutes ago, you called Guantanamo Bay, quote, a museum of torture.
Absolutely.
I would love to have a truth commission out there. So you will learn, and I think as an American you have a right to learn just how misguided that statement is. You have a right to know what the men and women, the professionals in the Central Intelligence Agency did over the past year to keep you safe, to keep your family safe, to keep your community safe, to keep all of us safe.
The issue is not safety. The issue is the moral high ground. And the fact is that torture does not work and torture does not bring better intelligence information.